Mule Deer Foundation presents Trigger Effect, an outdoor life documentary series.
Oh, this thing is pulling. That's what you call a Manitoba dirt nap right there. Many things you can tell from a jawbone of a deer. But just a good example of a person's way of life that brought him to this land.
This is Trigger Effect. Trigger Effect is brought to you by Mule Deer Foundation, ensuring the conservation of mule deer, black-tailed deer, and their habitat. Nikon Optics, next generation, now. Schmeiser Archery, the next step in technical evolution. Westside Stores, providing quality products and service to Salmon Arm for over 20 years. Sasquatch Fabrication, specialized fabricating for hunters everywhere. And these fine sponsors.
We're here at Westside Stores today, and we're actually planning a fishing trip for the next couple of weeks, and we're reminiscing a bit about a deer hunting camp that we had last year, where we took a bunch of young hunters, most of them the first time they've been out in the bush to hunt deer.
Well, and I think as veteran hunters, it's one of the things that we need to do is introduce youth to the sport. And I'll have to admit, you know, when I was watching the footage for this episode, it really brought back a lot of memories of when Kent and I took Dylan out for his first buck. We went to Manitoba. You know, he couldn't sleep, and he, you know, all the way there he was just talking. But anyways, I do apologize. The footage is old, but nevertheless, I think it's important for us to see the excitement that hunting brings to youth. So let's have a look at it, Gary.
You bet. Just going down. Just
Just another one?
Oh, focus on him. He's laboring. Watch his head. Watch his head.
Did he calm down?
He's one shot. Oh.
There's another one.
Uncle Kent, what do you think?
Well, it's been a long, hard hunt.
Yeah. I remember when that happened, and Dylan was pretty excited. He sent me back some pictures via email, so I think I was maybe the third person that knew that he got that buck. And he was smiles from ear to ear, and it was pretty exciting. And there was some other excitement that trip, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, on top of Dylan getting his first whitetail buck, he also got his first goose, his first duck, because we did some field hunting out there. What you didn't see in the footage is there was a big 5x5 was actually the first deer to come into that field, but it stalled out at 250 yards. Unfortunately, with it being, you know, Dylan's first deer, we didn't want him to poke out that far and, you know, have a bad experience. But I think the real reason is 3 days later we went back and I was lucky to connect with that buck, so you can take it for what it is. But anyways, I was really super happy. But you know what, Gary, in all honesty, let's stop reminiscing about the past and, you know, let's move on to the mule deer hunt.
You bet. Let's get to BC.
One important thing when hunting mule deer that is often overlooked is preseason scouting. It gives a hunter insight into population dynamics, specifically the health of the population, winter survival, and the caliber of bucks in the herd. Gary puts in 30 to 60 days of preseason scouting prior to going to deer camp.
So this year we set up our camp in late September, got our tents up, got the firewood in, We weren't really hunting much, but we were doing some pre-season scouting, saw lots of does early on and a few nice recruitment bucks that made it through the winter. And we were expecting big things for the first snowfall, which came the first week of November. So let's go and see what happened next.
The area where the deer camp is hosted is home to many other big game species, like bighorn sheep, as well as a variety of predators, so it's not uncommon to come across a kill. Closed captioning for Trigger Effect provided by Regent Custom Cresting and Framing. For all your promotional goods, embroidery, and screen printing needs, visit us today at www.regentcc.ca.
Just coming in to set up deer camp 2013. First one in on fresh snow. And guess what? There's buck tracks going everywhere.
Wasn't a big recovery.
Pretty devastating broadhead.
Tell you what, they put the game down.
Through the stag, into the tree. Schmeiser archery.
The Schmeiser Broadhead combines physics of the Falcon principle and the Axe principle for state-of-the-art aerodynamics and cutting technology. Visit us today at schmeiser-archery.com. Schmeiser Archery, the new generation of technical evolution. Welcome back to Trigger Effect.
Girls rock!
On this part of the hunt came a day I've been waiting for probably close to 20 years. My daughter, who's just over 20, who comes hunting with me a lot, helps with the camp and tracks deer, one of the best trackers that I've found, decided that it was time for her to pick up the gun, and for the first time ever, she was the huntress, and she got it done, so let's go watch her. Here we have Claire Bear on her first deer hunt.
Yeah. Enjoying chocolate for breakfast.
She is 1 year and 2 days old. Deer camp. Because mommy can't be left behind.
Go find a big buck ranch maybe.
Miranda hunted hard for the first couple days, with only seeing does and one brief buck encounter. Then, as luck would have it, she didn't have to go far to find what she was looking for.
So last year's deer camp in November was a long time in the planning, wasn't it?
It was. We were a year late because the year we were supposed to go, I went into labor right before camp started.
And had baby. Baby was a week old when she's supposed to be in camp.
Yeah.
And Bigfoot put his foot down.
Yes, and wouldn't let me bring her.
Wouldn't let her come in. Because there was 2 feet of snow and it was like 4 hours away from the nearest hospital.
That was probably a good decision.
So a year later?
A year later, I got to come up with my 1-year-old daughter. She celebrated her birthday the day before camp started. And I got to bring my 2 teenage nieces on their first hunting trip with me and Lexi. And they had a lot of fun, and they decided to become hunters.
Right on. Daughter Miranda had some interesting motivation this year that a lot of people don't have. Her motivation for coming hunting was that she's got a 1-year-old, and for the first time in her life, she's prepared to harvest a deer to feed her family. And a lot of times when we're using horses, we have the deer come into the hay feeder at night, clean up all the loose hay. But this year was a little bit different because we had a doe that just hung around the feeder all day long. First time we saw her, she actually had a little buck with her. And so, not being fools, we thought, here's an opportunity. We'll just leave her alone and make sure nobody bothers her.
And pretty soon there was more flat tops in the hay feeder than there ever has been.
And that turned out to be a good thing.
Yeah.
It did.
This week's local and traditional knowledge segment is brought to you by Mohican Environmental Consulting. Prior to setting up camp, co-host Gary and his brother Larry used a V-plow to clear the road. Larry recalls that in the old days, a long time ago, many people used V-plows behind teams of horses to clear roads for safe passage of others. And with Gary's granddaughter, only 1 year old, coming to camp, they want to ensure that the road is safe. Westside Stores in beautiful downtown Salmon Arm, providing fishing and hunting equipment, apparel, and knowledgeable staff. Your outdoor sports authority, Westside Stores has provided quality products and service to Salmon Arm for over 20 years. Visit us today at 450-360 Trans-Canada Highway Southwest, Salmon Arm, BC. Online at westsidestores.ca or call us at 250-832-8141. Welcome back to Trigger Effect.
Baby girl. It's okay, he's gonna fall. Put another one in. He's gonna fall.
I was just putting my baby girl down for a nap.
Hey, honey bun.
Yay, my first buck. One buck here for
Puffs was out running the four-wheeler and I saw the doe run by with 2 bucks right on her. So we went and got you out. He's done, 1 shot. Stay behind Lex, yeah. But I can't quite look at him. And there's the doe that was all the trouble. Yeah, that little buck is hot on that doe now. So you can see I'm in my old-timey snow camo. I was working on my brother's log house here at our deer camp, middle of the day. The quad's still running, sitting there, and I saw this doe that's been hanging around our horse feeder run past, and I thought, she's running for some reason. Either there's a wolf or there's a buck on her tail, and sure enough, 2 bucks come flying out of the bush. Ran her right past camp. I came and took some video. They did 2 or 3 circles. I run and get Miranda. I knew that they were probably going to stay right here. And this is just a nice, high, good representative 4-point, and a better first deer than most people hit.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's what happens at Big Buck Camp.
That's what happens at Big Buck Camp. This is not standard hunting garb. Miranda was putting 1-year-old baby Claire down.
My boots aren't even tied yet.
And Gramps came running in and said, "Get your gun. There's a big buck and a little buck out here with a hot doe." No knife?
No, it's in camp, so I'm gonna have to walk the whole 10 feet. I don't have my knife either. Yeah.
Tell me the story, Mimi.
So I had this little girl down for a nap, and Brittany, my niece, came running into the camp. It was like big buck outside, so she went down with Claire, and I got up, quickly threw on my jacket, and me, Lexi, and Bigfoot went after this buck, and we shot it not that far out of camp, actually. No, like, pretty quick. And there was a little 2-point behind it that was pretty happy that shot him and he got the doe. Because he took after her right after as soon as he saw this guy go down.
Time to tell me what you think about deer camp.
It's awesome and fun.
Oh! But I'm here and there's a granny doe and a 2-point deer eating out of a horse meat.
And how close did you get to the doe?
Really close.
Made a
5
stalk?
feet away.
5 feet, you like a 5-foot stalk on it.
Wow, folks, that was up close and personal. Congratulations, Miranda, on getting your first 4-point buck. Gary is an expert at getting those mule deer in close for those kids. For those of you who remember in season 1, he took my son Dylan out, got his first 4-point in a very similar situation.
Trigger Effect proudly supports the Mule Deer Foundation. Through its membership, the Mule Deer Foundation aims to restore, improve, and protect mule deer habitat. MDF supports wildlife management, promotes public education and research, and encourages responsible, ethical behavior. Visit us online at www.muledeer.org and join today and help us ensure the conservation of mule deer, black-tailed deer, and their habitat.
Gary, we want something that was strong, lightweight, collapsible, and durable. And with this wheel and the no axle on our game carts, we've achieved that.
Built in Carameus, BC, the Sasquatch cart is lightweight, has great clearance, and is strong enough to pack out a variety of game species. It collapses to be more convenient for transport and can be attached to ATVs for those long packs out. To get yours at Sasquatch Fabrications in Carameus, call 250-499-5984 or visit us online at www.sasquatchfabrications.com. Welcome back to Trigger Effect.
The game, Miranda, congratulations. Right after becoming a guide segment series, Gary's going to be taking another young lady out, Megan, to see if they can do the same thing again. Good luck, Gary, and especially good luck, Megan.
Trigger Effect's Becoming a Guide with Mike Hawkridge and Big Country Guide School. Horses are a great tool for hunting to get into those hard to reach areas and pack out game. So here's Mike Hawkridge on horsemanship.
When she's asking for a little bit more assurance, that's where it's going to just take time and experience to be able to give her that assurance. Like, I can kind of look like I'm moving with her pretty, do whatever I got to do or whatever, and she can kind of put up with it. And that's basically, she's now secure in whatever I'm doing. If you can pinch your fingers as hard as you can, and if you can feel the nail, that's not enough pad. All right, so I don't care what kind of pad it's built. You may need 2 of them. I'll show you how to stack pads properly. What I find with clients is they seem to get themselves into more trouble with a shanked bit than with something that's not shanked. So this here, 1 pound of pressure with your hands is 1 pound of pressure on the horse's mouth. Over their head and get a hold of some forelock. And then when I get a hold of that throat latch there, I can kind of hold that up. That way I can introduce this, and if they decide to move their head, I'll kind of hold it here a little bit. He's waiting on me, so now if I want him to move, now I've put that horse into neutral. So if anything gets kind of carried away, that's how you're going to slow. You make certain that when you step off, because you'll step off first to make certain everybody's okay, you'll make certain that they just get their toe in there.
I was pleased to have the opportunity this year to take my buddy Megan out. Megan's dad actually has been a good friend of mine and a good hunting buddy for years, and I've known Megan ever since she was a babe. And it was kind of cool to take her out on one of her first hunting trips and see if we could get her buck.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm here with Bigfoot and my dad in the caribou, and I'm gonna kill my first buck in the next couple of days.
What?
A big one too.
There's snow on the ground, but it's kind of like hunting deer in the desert because it's 0 degrees and we got way too many layers on. We're stubborn, we're not dressing down for this. Deer are kind of quiet too, so we'll see what happens like this. What do you think?
Freaking hot out. That's what it is.
After a spectacular hike, Meg and I met her little sister Sarah, her dad John, and her cousin Derek for a midday break.
Deer smokies from last year.
Good thing, because there's no deer this year.
We ain't finished yet.
Hey, trigger girl. Megan found the one place on the entire mountain with cell service, and that was her favorite hangout.
What did you see?
Nothing. Just grass.
What's that look like?
Breathtaking.
The sun's setting on Megan's last day at deer camp, and unfortunately, because of the warm weather, she wasn't able to get her deer. I'm pretty sure she's going to be back next year, and you should be back next week with Trigger Effect for a new episode.
Well, Gary said it. Megan didn't get her deer, but she'll be back. And hopefully you will be too, when we see if Manitoba can beat out BC on coyote hunting. Trigger Effect is brought to you by the Mule Deer Foundation, Nikon Optics, Schmeiser Archery, West Side Stores, Sasquatch Fabrications, and these fine sponsors.
My dad won't let me go home until I tell you to check out Trigger Effect TV. That's wrong.
Take two.
My dad won't let me go home until I ask you to check out the Trigger Effect Facebook page or go to www.triggereffect.tv.
And buy a cool hat like this one.
Yeah. Get this.
Okay, so